Lust does not arrive as an enemy. It arrives as a whisper. It speaks in the quiet hours when no one is watching, clothed in desire, draped in beauty, offering what looks like freedom but feels like chains. It promises satisfaction, yet it leaves you emptier with every embrace. What begins as a flicker in the mind soon becomes a fire in the soul, consuming, distracting, and pulling you away from the very throne of your own heart. It is not simply about temptation of the flesh. It is about captivity of the spirit. Lust knows how to dress itself as love, how to mimic intimacy, how to imitate comfort, and in doing so, it rewires the very imagination meant to create life into one that breeds bondage. This is not about weakness. It is about warfare. The most dangerous traps are never the obvious ones. They are the gilded cages that feel too comfortable to escape. What if I told you that the greatest wars are not fought on battlefields, but in the silence of your private moments? That every choice, every indulgence, every thought surrendered has been part of a greater war for your very heart, the invasion of lust. Lust never comes as a monster you can easily recognize. It comes disguised as something harmless, even beautiful. It doesn't storm the gates of your life with force. It seeps in quietly, in glances, in thoughts, in secret indulgences that seem too small to matter. Like a thief, it does not announce its arrival, but by the time you notice its presence, it has already begun rearranging the furniture of your soul. From the very beginning of human history, lust has carried the same voice that whispered in Eden, "You won't, you'll be more alive, more fulfilled." It always promises more than it can deliver, wrapping its lies in the language of freedom. Yet the moment you reach for it, the trade is made. You surrender the clarity of your mind, the strength of your will, and the fire of your heart in exchange for a fleeting shadow of pleasure. The danger of lust is not only what it makes you do, but what it keeps you from becoming. It robs warriors of their edge, artists of their vision, leaders of their authority. It dulls purpose with distraction, draining focus one thought at a time. What seems like a private battle is actually a public theft, because what is stolen in secret always echoes in destiny. Lust is not content with moments. It seeks dominion. It wants your imagination, because imagination is where your future is built. It wants your attention, because attention is the currency of your soul, and once it captures the throne of your inner life, it dictates every outward choice. That is why it feels less like a passing temptation, and more like an invasion. It does not stop at knocking. It seeks to occupy. Understand this. Lust is not about desire alone. Desire is natural, even holy when rightly directed. Lust is desire twisted, desire stolen from its rightful place. It is passion stripped of love, intimacy without covenant, pleasure without cost. It's the counterfeit that drains you of the very life it pretends to give. The invasion of lust is subtle, but its consequences are not. What enters your heart as a spark can become a consuming fire, and unless confronted, it will not simply visit, it will rule. 2. The beautiful chains. Lust is clever. It does not parade itself as slavery. It dresses as comfort, convenience, even empowerment. It whispers, "You are in control. You can stop whenever you want. This is your choice, your freedom." And yet the deeper you go, the heavier it feels. What begins as curiosity becomes craving. What begins as indulgence becomes imprisonment. Picture a prisoner locked in chains, made of gold. The shackles shine so brightly they almost look like jewelry. People around might even envy the beauty of those chains, never realizing they are shackles at all. That is how lust operates. Chains disguised as ornaments, captivity disguised as freedom. The trap is not only in the act, but in the illusion of control. Lust convinces you that you are the master, while in reality, you are the slave. Each indulgence tightens the grip. Each repetition makes escape harder. You may believe you are choosing lust, but lust is choosing you. And the cost. Priceless things, silently drained, courage fades, clarity blurred, energy once reserved for vision, creativity and calling, is siphoned away into emptiness. 1,000 small surrenders slowly strip the soul of its sharpness, leaving only dullness where fire once burned. The tragedy is not only what lust makes you lose, but how it convinces you the loss is worth it. It sells you comfort, while secretly bankrupting your spirit. It offers moments, while stealing you. It distracts you from the life you were meant to live, leaving you bound in chains too polished for you to notice. Lust's greatest deception is not in what it gives, but in what it hides, your own potential, your own freedom, your own throne within the heart. and until those chains are recognized for what they truly are, they will remain locked, tightening with every secret compromise. The war for imagination. Every empire is first built in the mind before it rises on the earth. Every invention, every kingdom, every destiny is born in the hidden chambers of imagination. This is why lust does not merely tempt the body. It wages war on imagination, because whoever captures your imagination captures your future. Neville Goddard once said that imagination is the womb of reality. Whatever you consistently see within will eventually manifest without. If this is true, and it is, then lust is not a casual indulgence. It is a hijacking. It takes the sacred power of your inner vision, the very tool given to you to build destiny, and bends it into chains that construct your prison. Think about it. The energy meant to create art, to design businesses, to birth solutions, to love deeply, to serve courageously, gets rerouted into endless cycles of fantasy, and every time the imagination is hijacked, destiny is delayed. Every stolen thought is a stolen seed that never has the chance to grow into its original purpose. The invasion is subtle. Lust feeds on images, replaying them, engraving them deeper, until they dominate the inner theater of your mind. And once that stage is corrupted, every scene in life is colored by it. Your eyes no longer see people as souls, but as objects. Your heart no longer seeks intimacy, but consumption. And your imagination, once a temple, becomes a marketplace for counterfeit desires. This is the erosion most never notice. It doesn't happen overnight. It is gradual, thought by thought, click by click, indulgence by indulgence. The soul grows weary, not from one great fall, but from 1,000 small surrenders. And when your imagination is no longer your own, your freedom is no longer your own either. Understand this. Lust is not passive. It is a parasite that feeds on attention, starving the vision within you. The more you give it, the weaker your inner fire becomes. But the moment you reclaim your imagination, the tide of battle shifts, because the same imagination that can be used for bondage can be used for creation, for vision, for breakthrough. That is why this war is not fought on screens or in shadows. It is fought in the mind. And whoever rules the imagination rules the man. Epi captives. 4. The spiritual economy of lust. Every action in life is an exchange. Every choice is a transaction. You give something, and you receive something. The danger with lust is not that it offers nothing. It offers plenty. The danger is that the price is hidden until the payment is already taken. Lust operates like a black market of the soul, a dark economy where birthrights are traded for scraps of pleasure. Think of Esau, who sold his inheritance for a single meal. That is the same trade lust whispers. Give me your strength, your clarity, your fire, and I will give you a moment. A moment while your destiny bleeds out in silence. This is not just poetry. It is spiritual commerce. Every indulgence is a withdrawal from the account of your future. Every secret surrender is a deposit into the hands of forces that want nothing more than to bankrupt your soul. You don't just lose time, you lose vision. You don't just lose energy, you lose authority. And authority once surrendered is not easily reclaimed. Billy Graham once asked, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? Lust takes that question and twists it. What does it matter to lose your soul, as long as you gain this moment? But moments fade and the soul remains fractured. Lust is not, it is the most expensive indulgence of all, because it demands treasures you cannot see until they are gone. It takes your courage to speak boldly, your strength to endure, your creativity to build, and leaves you with ashes disguised as satisfaction. And like any ruthless merchant, it never stops demanding more. Understand this. Lust is not just about morality. It is about value. The enemy knows your worth, even when you do not. That is why he bargains for it, tempts for it, tricks for it. The enemy cannot create, so he steals. And what he cannot steal openly, he buys cheaply through deception. But you are not meant to be a slave in this economy. You are meant to be a king, a steward, a builder. The currency of your soul is far too valuable to be traded for emptiness. And until you recognize the cost, you will continue to pay it unknowingly. If you're tired of the cycle, if you're ready to break free and reclaim the strength that lust has stolen, then it's time to act. I've put together a powerful guide called 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You. Inside, you'll find timeless strategies, raw truth and spiritual weapons that will equip you to win this battle once and for all. Don't let another day slip by chained to something you were never meant to serve. The link is in the description and pinned comment. Click it now, get your copy and start walking in freedom today. Beneath every act of lust, beneath every cycle of indulgence, lies something deeper than desire. Lust is not simply about passion. It is about escape. It is the mask we wear when we are running from pain, loneliness, rejection, or inadequacy. And as long as the wound remains unhealed, lust will always have a door to walk through. Think carefully. Lust doesn't ask, what do you want? It asks, what are you afraid of facing? The fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough, the fear of intimacy that might expose our flaws. Lust steps in as the counterfeit solution, offering a quick way to silence the ache, but in reality it doesn't heal the wound. It deepens it. It's like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. For a moment your mouth feels wet, but your body grows more dehydrated with every sip. Lust does the same. It numbs the fear temporarily, only to magnify it when the moment is gone. The loneliness grows louder. The shame digs deeper. The inadequacy feels heavier. That's why lust is more than just a temptation of the body. It's a strategy against the soul. Because if the enemy can keep you distracted with surface cravings, you'll never confront the root wounds. You'll keep reaching for shadows instead of seeking healing. And here is the tragedy. Many confuse lust for love, when in reality lust is fear wearing the mask of intimacy. True love requires vulnerability, patience, sacrifice. Lust demands none of these. Lust thrives in shortcuts, but shortcuts never lead to wholeness. To see lust for what it really is, you must pull off the mask. You must recognize the wound it hides and face it with courage. Because until fear is confronted, lust will always have a reason to return. The war against lust then is not merely about resisting desire. It is about healing the fears that fuel it. It is about refusing to let unhealed wounds dictate your destiny. And once you uncover the mask, lust loses its power. Because its power was never in the pleasure, it was in the fear it kept alive. 6. The hunger that never fills. Lust is the hunger that grows the more you feed it. It is an appetite without an end, a thirst without satisfaction. What begins with a spark quickly demands a fire, and what once satisfied yesterday feels empty today. This is the paradox of lust. It promises fullness while ensuring you remain hollow. The ancient prophets described it as drinking from broken cisterns, wells that cannot hold water. No matter how much you draw, it slips through the cracks, leaving you thirstier than before. And isn't that exactly what lust does? A moment of indulgence, then the crash. A moment of escape, then the shame. A moment of control, then the chains tighten further. Look around at our age. Endless swiping, scrolling, consuming, image after image, screen after screen, body after body. A feast without nourishment. A buffet that never satisfies. And still the craving grows. The more we take in, the less alive we feel, because lust was never designed to fill you. It was designed to drain you. Here is the cruel truth. Lust does not feed desire. It starves it. It strips intimacy of its depth, relationships of their meaning, the heart of its purity. It reduces the sacred to the disposable, the eternal to the temporary. It numbs you until even beauty begins to feel ordinary, and extraordinary love feels impossible. And so the cycle spins. Hunger, indulgence, emptiness, repeat. The soul begins to wonder why joy feels so fleeting, why purpose feels so far away, why focus seems impossible. But it is not because you are weak. It is because your energy, your attention, your very soul is being siphoned away into an appetite that cannot be satisfied. Understand this. Lust does not want you to stop at one taste. It wants you to keep returning, to grow dependent, to mistake hunger for identity. It wants you to believe you were made for this cycle, when in reality, you were made for abundance, for love, for overflowing life. The hunger of lust is proof of one thing only, that your heart was built for something greater, something deeper, something eternal. Lust keeps you starving so you never pursue the feast that truly fills. The strongest men were not always defeated by armies or enemies, with swords and spears. They were undone by the quiet, secret invasions of lust. The battlefield outside was won, but the battlefield within was lost. And when the heart is conquered, the crown soon slips. Take David, a warrior king, who faced lions, giants, and armies. He conquered nations, but one glance at Bathsheba shattered the fortress of his soul. One night of lust turned into deception, betrayal, and blood. His legacy was stained, not by the might of an enemy's sword, but by the weakness of his own desire. Or Solomon, blessed with wisdom beyond any man, entrusted with building the great temple of God, yet his lust for women pulled his heart away from the very God who gave him wisdom. The man who built a house for the eternal presence could not keep the sanctuary of his own heart undefiled. His reign ended fractured, his kingdom divided not by external enemies, but by internal compromise. These stories are not ancient warnings alone, they are modern mirrors. How many leaders, visionaries, and creators have lost their fire not in public battles but in private shadows? How many voices have been silenced, not by persecution, but by the slow corrosion of hidden indulgence? Lust dulls the warrior spirit. It takes the sharp edge of focus and turns it into a blunt blade. It takes courage and weakens it with shame. It takes vision and clouds it with distraction. And before long, the man who once carried fire begins to live in smoke. Understand, lust does not need to kill you outright. It only needs to weaken you. A warrior who has lost his edge is just as defeated as one who has fallen in battle. A king who abandons his throne in his heart will soon lose it in his hands. This is why lust is so deadly. It is not content to be a visitor. It seeks to dethrone. It wants to turn kings into captives, warriors into wanderers, leaders into shadows of who they were meant to be. But the throne of your heart is not meant for lust. It was forged for greatness, designed for courage, destined for life. And the war is not over until you choose to reclaim it. 8. The rising heart. There comes a moment when the chains no longer feel like ornaments, when the hunger no longer feels like freedom, when the shadow finally reveals itself as slavery. That moment is the beginning of awakening, the rising of the heart. The truth is this: the throne of your heart was never meant to be occupied by lust. It was meant to be the seat of kingship, the dwelling place of vision, the fire of courage. And though lust is invaded, though it is stolen, though it has tried to dull the edge of your spirit, it does not have the authority to keep what was never its own. The rising begins with recognition, to see lust not as a friend, but as a thief, not as comfort, but as captivity. To realize that the moments of false pleasure have cost treasures too great to count. And once that realization ignites, the chains begin to crack. But freedom is not merely about saying no. It is about saying yes. Yes to clarity. Yes to purpose. Yes to imagination reclaimed, energy restored, destiny reborn. The same fire that lust tried to twist is the fire you now reclaim for creation, love, and greatness. This is the transformation. The warrior once dulled by indulgence becomes sharp again, his blade of focus burning with light. The king once dethroned by compromise takes back the scepter of authority. The heart once divided becomes whole, burning not with counterfeit desire but with a love that does not fade. And in that moment, the soul declares, I was not born to bow to lust. I was born to rule my heart, to master my desires, to burn with light that no shadow can overcome. You are chosen. You are eternal. You are incorruptible. You are more than appetite, more than weakness, more than the lies whispered in secret. You were not designed for broken cisterns. You were made for living water, not for hunger without end, but for abundance that overflows. The rising heart is not the end of the battle, but the beginning of victory. It is the declaration that the throne belongs to you again, that your destiny is no longer for sale, that your imagination, your courage, your soul are free. So rise, break the chains, reclaim the fire, because your heart was never meant to be trapped. It was meant to be a crown of light. The truth is undeniable. Lust is not a small battle. It is the silent war that determines whether you live in captivity or in freedom, whether your life is wasted in shadows or ignited with purpose. It does not care how strong you look, how successful you appear, or how loudly you speak. It only cares about whether it has its grip on your heart. But if you are listening now, it means you are no longer blind to the trap. You see the chains, you feel the hunger that never. And that awareness is not weakness. It is the beginning of power, because the greatest victory is not in pretending you are untouched, but in deciding that the cycle ends with you. No more trading your future for fleeting shadows. No more living divided when you were made whole. No more giving away treasures that can never be replaced. There is a greater calling, a greater fire, a greater destiny waiting on the other side of this battle, and it begins the moment you choose to rise. But you cannot fight this war with willpower alone. You need strategy, you need wisdom, you need weapons forged in truth. That is why I created something for you. An ebook called 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You. It is not theory. It is a battle plan rooted in timeless wisdom, designed to give you practical steps, powerful revelations, and unshakable strategies to reclaim your heart and your freedom. If this message has stirred you, if you know you're meant to walk out of captivity into strength, then don't wait. Check the description below. Click the link and get your copy today, because freedom is not something you stumble into. It is something you fight for, and it begins with the decision you make right now. Your heart was never made to be trapped. It was made to burn with light. So rise and take back what is yours.